Well, welcome everybody to tonight's Fit Talk with KP and Dava. Tonight we're going to be talking about tracking your fitness journey. But first, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a brief genesis of how this Fit Talk started. Clinesia and I are both health and fitness coaches, and it was really our passion to find a wider platform and a bigger reach to get more education and information out there so that we can affect a greater change in our communities and just to give you guys more information that you can make better choices on and better life decisions with. I am David McKenzie. I have been a fitness coach for coming up on 2 years. I am also a Size Live instructor, and I am also certified in personal and advanced nutrition. And my journey really started once I lost 50 pounds, and I really just got inspired to keep going with it. I really wanted to try and help more people because I'm a big believer that if your health and your weight are a problem for you and, an issue for your life, that you can't truly fulfill the destiny that God has for you. So if you want to do all the things that He intends for you to do in your life and, really conquer all those great goals that you have, you really have to make sure that you're making your health and your fitness a priority. Clinesia, do you want to tell us a little bit more about you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Clinesia. Also call me KP. I have been a fitness coach for just a little under a year, but I've been on my fitness journey for a long time, off and on for the past 10 years or so. But I've really been serious about it for probably the past 2.5 years. And the whole reason that, I do this every day, that I wake up every morning excited to coach and work with my clients on their health and fitness is because I believe that your health is your number one priority over anything, because without it, you literally don't have anything else. So what I love to do is kind of just share some knowledge, share my passion with other people in hopes that, they'll become super passionate about their health and their body, their fitness, their nutrition, just like I am, and want to put that first over anything. So that, like Dava said, once you're healthy and you're the best you can be, anything you do is going to happen and you'll be able to fulfill your purpose and life will be awesome.
And that's so awesome because, we talk about a wide variety of things on this Fit Talks. And if you guys have suggestions or things that you want to hear about, feel free to let us know. You can tweet us, you can hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. But last week, what we talked about was plateaus. And this is something that, really hit home for me because I used to be the queen of plateaus. We looked at how, your eating could be affecting, your progress and, those secret little snacks that you take that you may not write down in your journal are really hindering your progress, not going hard enough in your workouts or, not switching up your workouts to get that muscle confusion going, if you're not sleeping enough, and if you're not drinking enough water. And I really feel like that segues really well into tonight's topic because we're going to be talking about tracking. And so if you're not tracking well enough, you might hit a plateau. So, Clinesia, do you want to get us started off in that arena?
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, thank you for the segue. Tonight we're talking about tracking and the different tools that you can use to track your progress along your fitness journey. Now, tracking is super, super important. If you think about people who have been successful in their journey, whether it has been losing weight, building muscle, just getting healthier overall, more than likely there's somebody who tracks their progress, okay? So when I'm working with my clients, I like to tell them to think about it this way. When you're building a house, you don't just say, I'm going to build a house and go do it. You create a plan. And then as you start building the house, you check back to that plan to make sure that you're building the house to scale, right? So it's kind of like that with your fitness as well. You've got to have your plan together of how you're going to reach your goal. And then you've got to check back to the plan to make sure that you're progressing correctly, And then tweak as you need to. So one of the things that I also like to tell my clients is a goal without a plan is nothing but a wish. So that's something that I think is really important to remember. If you if you're gonna set a goal, you need to create a plan so that you can reach it, right? So right now, I just want to jump right into some of the basics about tracking, some of the things that you guys might know that they might be really obvious to you, but I think we should still go over them before we jump into more details about tracking tools and how to use them, okay? So when I'm talking about the basics, I'm talking about things like your scale. Now, I know David does, and I sure have a love-hate relationship with the scale. Am I right?
Yes.
Because it's super important to track your progress, especially if your fitness goal is weight related. Sometimes it can deceive you. And so maybe, you know, you're checking your weight regularly on the scale, but it's something that I think you shouldn't depend on completely, you know? And I've worked with clients before who, you know, they jump on the scale every single day of the week and they're like, Clenesia, my gosh, like last week, every single day, you know, the scale was going down. I was losing a pound day after day. But this week, not only has the scale not gone down, it's gone up. So that's something that can be really discouraging, but there are so many different reasons why that could be happening. And so for that reason, the scale can't be your only measurement tool. So what are some of the other basic tools? There'll be things like measurements. We always encourage our clients to take regular measurements. Now, this might be once a week, it could be once every 2 weeks, or it could be once a month. But you just want to make sure at some regular interval, you are measuring areas like your waist, your hips, your arms, your thighs, your neck, your chest, so that you can get an idea of, are my muscles growing? Is my waist shrinking? You know, that's another really great way to tell if you're making progress along your fitness journey. Another great tool that I think a lot of people don't take advantage of for a few different reasons is a picture. So we always encourage our clients to take regular photos. Again, it could be weekly, it could be bi-weekly, it could be monthly, but a lot of times when the scale is either not moving or it's moving up, which can be discouraging, a photo can tell you a lot. You know, you can look at yourself in the same outfit 1 month and then the next month. And even if, you know, you don't really feel that different, or like I said, if the scale is continuing to go up a little bit, you might look different in your photos. You might look a little bit tighter. We have to remember that muscle weighs more than fat. So as you're gaining more muscle and losing that fat, the scale might go up. But in your photos, you're going to see, you know, your body is shrinking. You'll also see that in your measurements as you continue to take them. And the last basic tool that I want to talk about that a lot of people don't really track, but it really, it can be really good just depending on what your goals are, is body fat. So there are different ways to track this. One of the most recent things that I've come across is that Fitbit scale. It can track not only your weight, but also your body fat. And I know there are a lot of scales out there that do that. There are other body fat tracking tools that you can use, but it's also just a good way to know if you're making progress along your goals. So some people do have body fat goals where they say, okay, I need to get to, I want my body fat to be under 20%. So that's something that you're going to want to track regularly, especially as, you know, you've lost the weight overall that you want to lose and you're trying to really chisel out and kind of build that muscle and really define your muscle. You're going to want to start tracking your body fat. So that's another one of those basic tools that's super important to kind of keep in mind and track over time, okay? So now I just want to talk a little bit about tools that you can use in tracking your workouts, okay? So maybe you work out at home, maybe you go to the gym, maybe you like to go to the park down the street and work out. It doesn't matter what you do, but you need to make sure that you're tracking what you do from day to day. Because as you get stronger, you need to make sure that you continue to challenge yourself. Because if you don't, then you're going to plateau. Like Deva said, just like we talked about last week, you're going to plateau, you're going to stop seeing progress, you might regress a little bit. So you want to make sure that, you know, if you did a certain number of reps this week, next week when you go to that same workout, you increase your reps, or maybe you increase your weights. and you've got to be tracking that somehow, right? So how do you track? Well, there could be good old paper and pencil. It's so easy to go into the gym or have at home with you a small little notepad and a pen or pencil. And as you do each workout, just jot down how much weight did you use? How many reps did you do? So that you can continue to increase week after week, okay? Another great tool is apps or different websites that allow you to use your phone or whatever device that you might have on you to track whatever workout that you're doing. Again, just like paper and pencil, you can track the reps that you do. You can track the weight that you use. With these different workout bands and things like that, you are able to track your heart rate and see, like, am I really getting a good workout? Am I really challenging myself? So there are just so many tools that can really show you that, yes, you are progressing, or no, I need to work a little bit harder. The bands are actually really interesting to me because it kind of, especially something like a Fitbit, or I know Jawbone has it, where you can kind of join teams with other people who have the same bracelet as you, and you can make a competition out of it, right? So maybe we're counting steps, so like a pedometer or something like that. So we're counting steps, and I'm on a team with different people who maybe all of our goal is to get to 10,000 steps in a day. Having that competition is a great way to spur you on, but also keep track of what you're doing. You can, with these different bands, you can set goals for yourself. Okay, so my goal is to lose X amount of pounds. And to do that, I need to exceed my normal 10,000 steps per day. My goal is going to be to get to 15,000 steps per day. You can track it with the different things like that. And they have their website and app companions to make it even easier for yourself, you know? So I really, really do love those types of things. It makes it so much easier for you to track, make sure that you're progressing, and make sure that you continue along your fitness journey making progress. You know, that's the most important thing. So that was the basics. That was how to track your workouts. Now, Deva, do you want to jump into how to track food?
I want to hit on so many points, and it's funny because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I should have brought a paper and pen. Like, you don't think that you're going to need to take notes on your own show, right? But next time.
That's how you record it, though. Play back.
But there are a couple points I really just want to like drive home. And the first one being this whole thing about like fat and weights and muscle.
Yeah.
And we've said this before. I'm pretty sure we've said it on every show thus far. And it's not to be afraid of weights and not to be afraid of putting on muscle. And like Quenisha just said, you know, fat weighs more than muscle. And what she really means by that is, you know, because a pound of sand weighs the same amount as a pound of feathers. But when you look at fat and muscle, a pound of fat takes up more space in your body than a pound of muscle would. So if you are losing weight and you are putting on muscle from your workout, the scale might stay the same, but you will lose inches. You will see that in the picture and you will see it in your measurements, but you will not see it in the scale. And it can be very frustrating for people who rely on the scale. And I know people who won't even look at the scale altogether because, you know, excuse the language, but I'm like, the scale is a hating ass bitch. Like, sometimes she just won't move and she gets on your nerves. It happens. But that's why I always tell people, you know, rely on more than one measurement or more than one, I forget the word I'm looking at, but more than one metric for success. Yeah. You have to define what success looks like for you. A lot of times people aren't in the game to lose weight. Sometimes they want to get off their medication. So maybe it's lowering your cholesterol a certain amount of points, or maybe it's, you know, sleeping better at night. And we'll get into that. But really don't rely on the scale. Use more than one tool to track your success. But know that when you're putting on a muscle, it's going to take up less space and fat. And that's what causes those fluctuations in the scale that, you know, can often get us frustrated. And then I forgot the other point, but I'm sure it'll come back up. But so to tag along to what Quenisha was talking about, So, like she said, we talked about the food. I mean, we talked about the workouts. We talked about the basics. Now let's get into food because we got into this in prior weeks, but you really need to be tracking what you're eating and are you eating better? And like she said, there are so many apps out there and websites now. You got the MyFitnessPal, even Clinision. And I have apps now where you can track your workouts and what you eat and your water intake. You can do it old school with the hammer and chisel and, use paper and pen and write it out. I always like to say, a really great thing to do when you're food journaling is to add in your mood when you ate things because it will give you those emotional triggers and those psychological triggers that you're not necessarily conscious of. So whether it be that, I ate this, piece of chocolate because I was stressed out at work or I was feeling emotional or I was really crampy or, what have you, whatever the reason is, you'll start to see what those triggers are. And then you can make a plan B on how to avoid it in the future, like at a late meeting. So now maybe I need to keep one of those um, starfish like tuna packets in your desk that come in like all different flavors that are really great for you. And it's a great source of protein and omega 3s. And that way you won't, run across the street to McDonald's or whatever there is. You can also be weighing out your food on a scale. I know this is a little bit old school, but some people still do it. You can weigh out your portions on a scale. You can use the estimates that they give, for like meat should fit in the palm of your hand, or grain should fit in the cup of your hand, and you should have this much protein on the end, or this much fat at the end of your thumb. Those are really great ways to do it for on the go, especially if a lot of my clients use the container system. And Clinisia actually shared a picture of her containers on her social media on Facebook. And that is a really great way to portion control without thinking of it. It's funny because when I first got them, I thought of them as like Tupperware containers and I got really confused. So I told everybody to stop calling them containers. They are measuring cups. They have lids, yes, but really they're measuring cups and they're really just a great way for you to portion out your meals and they're color coded so that you know exactly what goes in what container, greens are what, vegetables, stuff. Like it is that simple and it's really plain and really easy. And then other ways you can be tracking your food before you go out, research the menus that you're going to go to. And kind of like this is a big thing for me is I'm a huge planner, I'm really type A, but if somebody tells me where we're going out to eat, I will look at the menu before I go out so I can pick out what I want to eat, see how it's cooked. If they have the nutrition information online, I will look that up. And then that way I can already have like a mental game plan that I will not get sidetracked by the New York style cheesecake and I will get I will get, what it is that I want to eat. Or I know, okay, I'll try and ask him to grill the chicken instead of fry the chicken, what have you. Or if it is, a cheat, at least then I know at the beginning of the day. And it's not like I messed up my whole day with this horrible meal at the end of it. Or maybe it's that, okay, I know this is not as good as I should be eating, so I'm going to box half of it right off the bat. He brings me my plate, I'm going to be like, can you bring me a box with it? So you just put it away and not even look at it because I'm one of those, if it's in front of me, it's going to get eaten. But know those things before you go out so that you can track and know what you're getting yourself into. The fourth way that we're going to talk about tonight, as far as tracking your progress, are those intangibles. And these are the things that, you can't see in a picture. This is where that, how you're sleeping comes into play and how, if your cholesterol went up or down or your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your stress level or how you manage your stress. I know that was like a really big thing for me that once I started eating better, I started feeling better. Before I started eating clean and drinking Shakeology every day, I was really addicted to espresso. And I never felt jittery unless I had like 6 shots in a day, which I've done, and I was jittery. But I never really noticed it. I never used it as a way to keep me awake. It was more so of a way to keep me feeling productive and focused. Um, but I didn't really dawn on me until, I was having really bad problems with it that it was giving me insomnia. And once I started kicking that out and, eating better, I started sleeping so much better. I'm like, oh my God, eating clean and working out is like doing wonders for my life. And it's like, hello, Mackenzie, that's what it's for. That's why you do it. This is the whole point. Um, so pay attention to your sleep patterns. And these are things that you can add into that food journal. And you can just log at night, like, how long did you sleep? I slept 8 hours and it felt great. Or I slept 6 hours and I felt crabby in the morning. Or maybe you did, and then you can see, like, maybe that day you did a really intense workout and maybe you didn't sleep as well because you were sore. And then presenting all those things to your coach, like if you were working with Clinique or you're working with me and you gave us your food journal and we saw how your moods were, we saw how you were sleeping, we could then, as Clinique just said, tweak the plan so that you're feeling better. And this was the other point that I forgot before, Clinicia, was that tweaking thing. You have to track your progress so that you know where to go. And I forgot what book it was. I think it was Slight Edge. Clinicia, you might know, correct me if I'm wrong. But the author talked about how even on a straight road, you can see where you're going. You never keep the steering wheel straight. You will always constantly turn it side to side, even on a straight road, because you have to make, those little adjustments for, how the car is moving and how the road is. It might not be completely smooth. So you have to be tracking so that you can make those little tweaks on the way. So, if you're feeling really sore one day, we might be able to recommend a supplement that helps you with soreness. I know that was a really big thing for me when I was doing 21 Day Fix Extreme. I was super sore. I knew I couldn't finish the program because being sore is something that will unmotivate me and make me not want to work out. I'm sure that's how it is for a lot of people. If you're super sore, you might not want to get up the next day. But so I knew I needed another supplement that would block that lactic acid in my muscles so that I wouldn't feel as sore and that I could sleep a little bit better at night. So I did that and I was able to keep up with the workouts. Another thing that came up that I was tracking, I was putting on a crazy amount of muscle. I was losing inches, but I was not losing pounds. And I had to, take a step back off the ledge and say, like, it's okay. You're putting on muscle. It's not a problem. Also, you can be tracking your energy levels. So everybody says and realizes that working out can be a really good energy boost. If you're working out in the morning, some people, it's kind of 50-50 split. Some people feel really tired after their workouts, they need a nap. Other people feel really pumped up. I'm kind of like in the middle where I feel tired immediately after, but I feel energized for my day and I feel so much productive. And you get those endorphins and there's another thing you can track. You can track your mood and how you feel, and eating clean is going to make you feel better, like all the way around. So you're going to be like a happier, more social, jovial person to be around. People are going to want to hang out with you now that you're eating right. You can also track your digestion. That's another thing that comes up a lot, I think, with when people start changing their diet drastically and eating clean, is that, the pipes might start functioning differently. Either for the better or worse, because it's a shock to your system and you have to get used to it. These are all things that you can be keeping a track of. You can also just pay attention to how your clothes fit. It kind of goes with measurements, but like that little like looseness in your dress when you put it on feels good. But you can also track the tightness too. That was one of the giveaways that, like, oh, I might need to get on the scale because this dress is a little bit tighter for me when I first started my journey. You can track how many notches on your belt you went in. That was a really fun thing for me when I started losing weight. I actually wound up getting like a whole new belt because I ran out of notches on it. But these are all ways that you can be tracking your fitness journey. These are, and so many ways that we've went over that don't include the scale. Like I said, she's a little hater, and sometimes she doesn't move in the way you want. She might not move as fast as you want, but you may still be making progress. And that's really the point, is so that you know the progress that you're making, that you can celebrate these little victories along the way, and that you can get a more complete, holistic view of how you're doing on your journey.
Yeah. You reminded me of something when you said tracking how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so back before, about a little over 2 years ago, I was kind of off the wagon, not really working out regularly. And I remember one day putting on some work pants that I hadn't worn in a while, and I was like boy, these are tight. I can't button these too well. And I wore them to work and they were just so tight and uncomfortable. I ended up at lunchtime going and buying a dress and changing at work. And I put those pants in my drawer and I was like, I gotta start working out again. So I kind of got back on the wagon and left those pants in the drawer for several months. And then, you know, one day I was dressed kind of casual because it was a Friday. And then I last minute needed to go somewhere to a meeting and I needed to look nicer. And I opened this drawer and I had these pants in here. So I run to the bathroom and I throw them on. And when I tell you they buttoned without me having to suck it all in and, you know, distort myself.
Do the wiggle.
I was like, yes, please, this is working. So yeah, just, and you know, I'm not somebody who pays attention to the scale that often, just for the reasons that, you know, Dave and I explained earlier. She's a hater and I can't always deal with her. So, you know, we don't always get along. So to have that, growth, or I mean, loss in that case, where, you know, from one point, like I could barely button these pants and had to take them off and change my clothes at work. And, you know, fast forward a few months later and I put them on and they just button just like that. I was so excited. And that was so motivating for me to kind of keep pushing, and just showed me that, you know, putting in a little bit of work every single day. You know, I wasn't making major changes at the time, just putting in a little work, making sure I made it to the gym. My workouts were non-negotiable. I didn't skip them and it paid off. So the tracking is so important. So you just reminded me of that when you mentioned that.
And I like to think we're fairly young, so we can still remember our college days. But I feel like this happened all the time in college, because you would get so busy in your classes that you would wear like sweatpants and leggings to class. And then when you finally got into real clothes that didn't have like an elastic waist, you realized, oh, geez, this is fitting a little bit snugger. And maybe I shouldn't have gone so hardcore in the cafeteria that day or that week or
Wednesday. It's so true. So true. Another thing that you reminded me of was when you talked about tracking your food and stuff. Something that you're tracking your food and your sleep. I had talked about using the different fitness bands like the Fitbit or the Jawbone, the Apple Watch, things like that, to track your fitness. The cool thing about a lot of those bands is that you can integrate everything. You can track how much water you drink. It can sync up to other apps like MyFitnessPal and have your food in there. You can track how you're sleeping, and you can kind of monitor all that in the same place, which is really cool and I think really useful, especially for people who are super busy. You don't want to be using 17 different tools all the time. It's really cool to kind of have all of those things in one place, so you can go back and be like, okay, well, you know, last week I wasn't feeling too great. Let me just look and see, okay, how much exercise did I do? What did I eat? You know, how much water did I drink all last week? And how does that compare to this week? It makes it so much easier to just track those key things.
It's absolutely like a digital food journal, because you can even track what you eat and your meals and your calories and your exercise. It'll give you an estimate for that. Like, it's not just a pedometer. Like, they're really making it whole picture snapshot of your health and fitness for that day and what you're doing for your body, which is great.
Yeah. So I definitely love those. And then another thing that you mentioned when you were talking about kind of the intangibles is going back to kind of how you feel. Now, this is something that I ask my clients to really pay attention to. Especially, you know, every now and then I'll run a healthy eating group that's 5 days long, and I'll invite people to it just to give them an idea of what it's like to eat healthy and how in just a short amount of time your body can change just by, you know, making no real additional changes besides feeding it whole healthy foods, right? And almost 100% of the people every time will tell me, I have so much more energy. I feel so much better. And that's something that speaks volumes, because it's just 5 days of eating healthy. So imagine if this was a month of eating healthy. Imagine if it was 3 months. Imagine if it was the rest of your life. How would you feel? How much better would your mood be? How much more energy would you have? You know, you could literally take on anything just by changing your diet, you know? And I think it sounds drastic. It really does, but it's all about baby steps. For me, it was kind of a journey. I've struggled with digestive issues literally my entire life. So it helped when I started working out regularly and cleaning up my diet a little bit. I had fewer symptoms. My bad digestive issues were kind of, those episodes were few and far between. I started, drinking Shakeology a little bit under a year ago, and literally since then. So that in coupled with the fact that my diet is pretty clean overall now, has literally transformed my health. I haven't had any digestive issues in months. And for somebody who has suffered literally their entire life, if anybody's out there who has suffered and how it feels to be uncomfortable every time you eat, to kind of just feel your food and the pain that you feel eating certain things. So to not have any of those symptoms and to not have had them in so long, nearly a year, I can't even explain, how amazing that is. So for me, that right there is reason enough to continue on this journey. And so that's what I like to share with other people, in hopes that, you will feel something similar, whether it's with your own digestion or it's with your sleep patterns or your energy levels, or just, your weight loss, your muscle gain, whatever it is, something will happen that will kind of spur you forward. And as long as you're tracking that every week and kind of keeping notes of how you feel day by day, week by week, month by month, you're gonna notice the difference over time. I promise. And you're gonna look back a year and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, how I've changed. And it's gonna be amazing, I promise.
You make me want to go out and get a brand new journal, actually. Because it's true. It's I really hope you guys really get the point that we're driving home, and it's really that you cannot rely solely on the scale, because if you just get so narrow-minded and focused on that one metric, you're gonna miss this big glorious world. Everything Quenisha just talked about is gonna play into your mood, and I can't tell you how much better of a person and a human I am because of it. I'm a better mom because I feel better, because I eat better. I have more energy so I can play with my daughter, but I also don't feel crummy on the inside. So I feel better about myself. So again, more energy, and I'm sleeping better, and everything goes hand in hand, and it's full circle. And it's not all about that stupid number that comes up in pounds and that gets on your last nerve. If you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, it will take care of itself in the time that it will take to happen. Just keep sticking to the process and don't abandon ship so quickly. I don't know how else to put it.
No, honestly, exactly what you're saying. And you're right. The point that we're trying to drive home is the scale is not the end all be all. The scale is one piece. And for a lot of people, especially if their goal is not really weight related, I'll say, put the scale away. Put it away for a while. Bring it out only once in a while and use it. But don't make it one of your key metrics that you use to define success. Dava said this earlier. You have to decide what success means to you. I hope that it doesn't have you staring at the scale day after day. I don't know, just this week alone, a couple of my clients have come to me and, they're saying, Quenisha, like I said earlier, last week, the scale was moving down and down and down. I don't know what's going on this week. And so it's almost like the same conversation every time. I'm asking, what other metrics are you using? Well, Quenisha, not that many. Have you taken any photos? No, I haven't really taken any photos. Have you done your measurements? Not in a while, since the beginning, not since, a couple of weeks ago. All right, let's do some of those things,
Mm-hmm.
And when they do those things, when they choose a different metric to pay attention to, their mood comes up, their motivation comes up, and they're ready to get back on the wagon. Don't give up. Okay? Don't give up.
Absolutely. And then those photos, man, those photos. I was and I talked about it, I think, last week that I had a thyroid condition. So weight was never melting off of me any type of crazy fast. I have one client who has lost 40 pounds in 50 days, and I could not be more jealous of her because it probably took me months to lose 50 pounds, and she's lost like a pound a day almost. But neither here nor there. Those photos are so crucial because I really didn't feel so great about my weight loss. I hadn't lost a large number. I've pretty much been like about the same size, like give or take 2 sizes since like high school. I pack on the weight and the number on the scale will go up, but my size doesn't change much. But when I tell you I saw those before and afters, it's like night and day. And I share them pretty often on my social media. So if you've ever seen the before and after of me in a swimsuit, it is like, damn, what did you do? How much weight did you lose? Everybody's like expecting to hear this really large number. And I'm like, I didn't lose that much weight. It's maybe 30 to 40 pounds difference between the two pictures. But like my body changed and it would not have been able to have been seen had I not taken those photos. Yeah. And for some people, that's a really big one. Or maybe you can see it in your measurements, but you just really got to pay attention to it. And you guys, you don't have to wait until you start doing a program. Like you don't have to say, oh, well, I'll wait until April 1st or I'll wait until I start this new program. You can start tonight. You can start first thing in the morning, do the scale, do your measurements, take a photo. I always say do them first thing in the morning if you're doing measurements, but, grab a notebook and start writing down how many hours did you sleep, how did you feel, what did you eat, download an app to your phone, delete some pictures, clear some space so that you can download your apps. If you're anything like me, you don't have any space. You can, the trackers, like the Jawbone and the Fitbit, I think I got mine off of Amazon from somebody else for like really cheap. Like it doesn't have to be a huge investment. You just have to commit to starting to do it and don't wait.
Yeah. That's so true. And talking about photos again, like I feel like I may have shared this in, a previous show, but in the workout program that I'm doing right now, Hammer and Chisel, it's an 8-week long program. And, I felt good when I finished the first round of it. I felt great, but I looked in the mirror and I didn't necessarily see a difference. And that, it wasn't really motivating, but it wasn't until I, took my after picture and I put it side by side with the picture that I took 8 weeks prior that I could really see the difference. So exactly what Dava said, exactly what we were saying earlier. Sometimes, something that simple can really show you what you can't see when you look in the mirror. And I think too, it's helpful for people who don't really have a ton of weight to lose anyway. So maybe the scale isn't really what you're going to be looking at anyway. You need another metric regardless. So, if you're like me, where my weight isn't going to change that much, a few pounds up or down on any given day and any given program. So I really have to pay more attention to other metrics. Measurements I use a lot because, when I'm lifting more weights, my legs get a little bigger, my waist starts to chisel out a little more and get a little smaller. Like I just shared in my story, the photos really tell a lot. Today, I was actually trying on a bunch of summer dresses because I am anticipating the summertime and I just can't wait. So I got to see what fits. And I was really excited to see that a dress that I actually bought a year ago and never wore, and I was contemplating giving it away because it was just a tad too tight and I was having to kind of suck in and not quite breathe when I was wearing it. I tried it on today and, it zipped right up and I was like, girl, stop. I was so excited. So now I can't wait to wear that when the weather really warms up. So it's those types of things that work, especially, for someone like me who like the scale isn't going to help me anyway that much. You got to have your other metrics.
Yeah, I'm a mess when my body starts getting on point. We won't talk about it. But I start getting more and more daring in fashion, but it's because I feel good, You have that confidence boost going for you. You're like, go ahead, Dava. Like, you got this.
I love it. You know what? I really love when I work with my clients who, do you ever have those clients who, like, in the beginning, they're a little bit afraid to take pictures? They're like, I don't want to see myself. I'm not going to take a picture. But Lord, when they start to see some results, you cannot get the camera out their hand. I'm like, selfie today, selfie tomorrow, selfie every 2 hours. Like, but I love it. Like, people really fall in love with themselves. And that's one of my favorite parts of coaching is to see someone who goes from, I don't ever want to look at myself in a picture to, oh, you didn't get enough selfies. Let me send that one more. I just love it.
I have one client, and it is so funny. She's gonna kill me if she sees this. She has had 2 kids within 12 months, and she had the second one in September. I'm like, dude, like you were freshly popped a baby, and you are the mom of like 2 kids under 2. Like you have a lot going on, and I can see abs in her picture, and I'm like, dude, like, do you not see that you look amazing? I know you see these pictures right now. Like she looks so good. And I'm just like, I just kind of like want to shake her a little bit. And I'm like, don't look at the scale. Look at these pictures. Like you have 2 kids, you just had a baby, and you have abs. Like that is winning in my book.
Seriously, that is winning. It's amazing.
But that's again, definition of success. Like what does success look like to you? Does it mean that you have like a full 6-pack? And then you got to kind of back to our goal setting and why you don't hit your resolutions. They got to be realistic. So make sure your goals and your definition of success is realistic.
Yep. And that you have a plan in place to hit it. So if you have been working out for a couple of weeks and if your goal is, hey, I need that 6-pack and you still got that gut, what are you doing wrong? Go back. How's your diet? You need to lock it down a little bit. Are you really challenging yourself with your workouts? Are you doing enough cardio? Like whatever it is you need to tweak, you need to make those changes.
Have you noticed that like since you've started coaching and since you've been on your journey that you're more in tune with your body so that when you see things happening, like you know the changes you need to do?
Absolutely.
Like
absolutely.
For me, like I don't know why, but my stomach is really sensitive and I have a much larger chest. So if my back starts hurting or if my stomach, like, I don't know, it just like feels squishy and it's not as tight as it should be, I know I need to do more core exercises. And believe it or not, core exercises are really great for your back because people think core equals abs. And core is really your whole trunk, your whole middle section. So if my chest is hurting or if my back is hurting because my chest is larger, I know I need to do more core exercises. So if I start feeling my stomach is, getting squishy, I'm like, okay, I gotta get it together because then my back is next. Or if my stomach feels funny or if I feel like a little sluggish because of my thyroid, I have to look at my diet and like, was I eating things that were not good for my thyroid? Or, do I need to be eating more green leafy vegetables so that I'm getting more of that insoluble fiber in there so that it's like cleaning everything out? Again, like this will only come if you're tracking and if you're aware of your body. I'm a little bit more like in tune to the diet side of things because of that nutrition background. But if you're paying attention to your system and how you feel and you're tracking it, you can pick up on these things the same way Clinesia and I can. What's your like dead giveaway that something's up, Clinesia?
So I am also super in tune with my diet. And so I'll give you an example. In February, I went on vacation and I was in Trinidad for 2 weeks for Carnival. So that means I was drinking a lot. I was eating whatever, whenever, and not sleeping very well or at all sometimes. So I could tell almost immediately that my body was suffering. You know what I'm saying? And part of it, I think just because of, all the fun I was having, it didn't affect my mood like it normally would. If I was home on a regular day, I probably would have been in a really cranky mood. But I was having, like, almost immediately, my belly started to bloat a little bit. So I could feel my digestion got a little sluggish. I tried to drink the Shakeology as much as I could, but there were some days where, I just either didn't have it on me or there just was no way to easily work it into the schedule that I had on that day. meaning that I was probably at an early morning party and a late night party. But it was hard to kind of keep that going every single day. And I felt it almost immediately. You know, my digestion got sluggish. My belly was bloated. Those are two things that they happen almost immediately for me. And then again, mood. But that didn't happen in February. But normally my mood would go down. But then another thing that's really key for me as far as working out. So like I said, earlier in the year, I did my first 8-week round of hammer and chisel. I am now on my second 8-week round, and I am increasing the weights. So I'm using heavier weights and doing some different workouts, working in some of the deluxe workouts so that I get a little bit of a different workout. And what I noticed the first week that I started doing it was that I was feeling so tired, so sore when, you know, I hadn't been sore in a really long time. And so those are two things that stood out to me that I had to go back and look and see, okay, why is it that way? Like the sore makes sense. My weights are heavier. Okay, so let me go and take some sort of post-workout supplement to help with that. But as far as feeling tired, that's something that I had to sit and think about. And I think what it came down to was the fact that even though I changed my workout, I didn't necessarily change my diet to match it. So what I ended up doing was upping my protein, and I started to feel better the second week when I started to do my workout again. So it's really like you do have to kind of pay attention to those little things, those little nuances in your body, in your mind, and just figure out, go back to whatever your tracking method is, your app, your website, your paper and pen, your journal, like whatever it is, go back and look over everything. Okay, what's different? Or what should be different? You know, what's not different that I need to kind of look at, or what's the same that needs to change? And figure it out from there. But yeah, like Dava said, it's all about being in tune with yourself and your body and being able to kind of figure out what's going on.
I had the same issue. I just got back from the Beachbody Success Club trip on the cruise to the Bahamas and Jamaica, and nobody told me that like on cruises you get to eat all you can eat like at any time of the day. When I took full advantage the first couple days, and I felt horrible after. And then like ever since then, like I made sure I was all right. Like I know I can't go crazy. I need to eat vegetables or I'm not gonna feel good. I can't eat fried food. I can't eat carbs. Funny, when I was pregnant, my daughter Zuri, she hated when I ate fried food. I couldn't eat anything fried. It's like I really had to pay. I had like this physical reminder that it's like, don't eat that. I don't like it. And she would like pitch a fit inside the womb. Something else that you said, on the cruise, we had a panel with these celebrity trainers, and Autumn Calabrese, she's the creator of Hammer and Chisel and 21 Day Fix and 21 Day Fix Extreme and Country Heat and all these programs, and the Portion Fix eating system. Like she is just a really great innovator. And she was saying how, you know, she wasn't feeling good and she was feeling tired and she was dropping weight. And it was like all for inexplicable reasons. And she went to doctors and they were telling her that she's fine. She's at the peak of fitness and health. And she was like, something is wrong. I am not crazy. Like, you need to listen to me. And she did some research on her own and found out that she had like an overgrowth of yeast. And she adjusted her diet and took care of it. And now she's fine. But it was like, even doctors couldn't tell her what was going on because looking at her, she looks amazing and she looks awesome. And it's like, what are you talking about? Nothing's going on. But she knew for herself something didn't feel right. And with just like a little bit of research, she was able to see like, okay, I can tweak my diet in this way and feel better. It's kind of like the same thing for me and my thyroid. On days that I feel sluggish, I know exactly what I need to do to feel better. As far as like my diet goes, and sometimes it's like, I know you feel tired, but you really do have to push through this workout so that you can get that energy boost from it. You know, get that jump start from getting your metabolism going is gonna, you know, carry over and give you more energy. Kind of goes with the same theory that you need to eat to lose. You know, you need to eat food to get your metabolism going so that you burn the food that you ate and then you keep burning the fat. Seems counterintuitive at first, but when you really think about it, it makes perfect sense.
I so agree with you. So this was such a good conversation. Like it went on so long tonight. We're coming up to 10 o'clock now, so I definitely don't want to keep everybody on too much longer. If it doesn't look like we have any questions, so while I'm sitting here talking a little bit, if you do have any question or you do have something to share, please go ahead and raise your hand and jump on the seat. Otherwise, we can just kind of continue on with our closeout and talk to you guys a little bit more about what we're going to talk about next week. So
I feel like first, if you haven't seen our other shows, go back and watch them. Like they're here on Blab, they're on our YouTube channels. Like watch them because there's so much overlap, but it's also, you know, there is some method to the madness. So the shows do kind of go from one to the next, but there is just a wealth of information and perspectives and points of view that, if anything, you know, ring any type of bell within you, feel free to share them. Send them to your friends and family. Be like, hey, girl, like, weren't you talking about this the other day? And, you know, start your own conversation. Have your own little mini fit talk within like your family and in your community. And you guys can talk about like your tracking or, you know, plateaus that you've hit or how you can stick to your New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Like, I completely echo what Deva is saying. Go back and watch some of our other shows because they do go hand in hand with one another. And if you are somebody who's just getting started on your fitness journey, you're going to learn so much. If you are somebody who's kind of been on your fitness journey, but you're, you know, hitting walls, you're going to learn so much. If you're somebody who's pretty advanced in your fitness journey, you're still going to get some sort of nugget from each one of our conversations. So I definitely encourage you to watch. I encourage you to share everything with your friends. I hope that, you know, we can see you every single week here and that you'll continue to bring friends and family to come watch because like Deva and I both said in the beginning, this is all about sharing our passion for health and fitness with the broadest audience we can. So we want you to jump on board. We want you to become passionate about not only health and fitness in general, but about your health and fitness and the health and fitness of your family. And we want you to want to share the message as well. So we definitely encourage that. It doesn't look like we have any questions, but I'm so glad that you guys were able to join. And I hope that you guys will join next week, same time, same place. What are we talking about next week, Deva?
Question. Fun stuff. Fitness related, I'm sure.
Is it though?
You know, we try to put a method to the madness.
I've lost
right now. But so our first week we talked about New Year's resolutions and why you may not be sticking to them and how you can, you know, stay on track with that. And then our second week we talked about plateaus. And this week, of course, was our tracking tools. And so next week, we're going to be talking about meal planning, which is super important. I'm the type of person where I do not like to do, like, I'm a single mom, first of all. Like, I don't have all the time in the world. I have a little bit more time now that I work for myself and I do this coaching full time. But I don't like to devote, like, a whole large portion of my day to, like, food and, like, fitness. And, like, I don't want to be working out all day. I don't want to be in the gym for forever. And I certainly don't want to be in the kitchen, like, for half of my life. Like, so I like to get in and get out. So the way I do my meal planning, meal prep, and everybody's different, is that I will do meal planning one day. I'll do sometimes the same day as shopping, sometimes not, but then shopping and then meal prep another day, just so I can spread it out over time. But the very first step before you even make a shopping list, before you hit the store, is to create a meal plan. I need to know what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to make, what's going in my body. And I've actually gotten my daughter in on the mix. Like, she loves it. And when we get more settled, because I recently moved, we're gonna start making like little family menus as like a arts and crafts kind of project. But she really wants to be involved because she's getting that, you know, good reinforcement and seeing that model set for her, that what you eat is important, what goes in your body is important, and she sees that I meal plan. She sees that I create meal plans for my clients. So she asked me that when she turns 6, now that she's a little bit older, if she could be involved in the process and could she help me decide what gets made. So I told her yes. I told her we can make like little videos that could like help other kids, and that we would sit down together and make like a weekly menu each day. And it's also great if you do have families, it'll take away like all those annoying nagging questions. You know, you love your family, you love your kids, but I'm pretty sure, at least my parents, the worst question to ask them after a very long day was, Mom, what's for dinner? And it's like, go look at the menu, it's on the fridge.
Exactly.
So this will be like a little fun project for us, and then she feels involved. And truth be told, when your kids and your family members feel more involved with the process, they're more likely to eat better. So if you do have a young person in your home and you're struggling to get them on the right path as far as nutrition goes, get them involved in the process, and they'll, you know, they'll want to do it too. You know, you got to find ways to make it fun for them, but we can talk more about that next week. Kalisha, did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
I'm laughing over here because I'm like, look at David getting all excited about this.
She's ready to go. I'm like, let's do meal planning now.
No, I'm actually really excited for the next couple of weeks of shows as we talk about meal planning and meal prep. One, because I really love food. But two, I'm excited to kind of share different methods. And you know, I am queen lazy cook, so like I cannot wait to kind of share my different hacks with people and how I can eat right while doing this much work. So
funny.
Definitely looking forward to that.
I just want to say, I know you love food, but I didn't know you were a lazy cook.
You didn't?
No. I mean, whenever I'm over, you make good foods. Or somebody did.
You know what? I can't wait to talk about this because, you know, I take a lot of photos of different things that I eat, and people will look and be like, wow, that's so amazing. And I'm like snickering to myself, like they don't know how easy that was. So, all right, we'll talk about that all next week. I cannot wait. It's going to be so fun. So thank you guys for joining tonight. We will see you next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks, again. Have a good night.